Today we'll be talking about what's coming next, what's happening on that level of ascension as many people are moving through the dark phase right now, a dark phase of purification. Dark phase is not a bad phase, it's a phase of purification where we are cleansing the ancestral pain and traumas and negative energy through our system and freeing ourselves from programming and false ideas and false identities and stressful energy, incoherent energy that is not serving our evolution anymore. There's a lot of chaos present in many people's minds, and at the same time we are also opening our hearts and we are experiencing more connection, more coherent energy. So many mood shifts may be happening for many people, like at a certain phase of a day you experience pure love, you experience connection with everything, you experience, like, you know, as a pendulum swings, at one side there's pure love, pure connection, a divine feeling of guidance, and then it swings to the other side and you experience fear and you experience separation and you experience sadness and you experience misery. So what life is kinda trying to tell you right now, it is not trying, it is telling you, but you have to learn to listen to it, is that you are not the swing of the pendulum, you are the pendulum. And when pendulum calms down, it is always moving, because life is constantly moving, life is constantly flowing, moving forward, constantly expanding and growing and finding new ways, being creative with opportunities, possibilities, and all of that. When you notice that you're that pendulum, when pendulum calms down, everything becomes more moderate. You become more moderate human. And in that sense of moderation, you experience everything more effortlessly, with greater ease, with greater grace. And that's where energy becomes more coherent. And when energy is coherent, information comes to you with greater flow, which means realizations, clarity finds you with easiness. You just say to yourself, okay, I'm ready to know, and clarity finds you, and you get to know what you need to know at this point. And what's coming on this world right now is that more and more people are letting go of the old egoistic sensing and perception of seeing themselves as the center of the world, like something narcissistic, but rather seeing them as a dot of the collective, like a neuron in the brain. Knowing when a neuron in the brain is coherent, it will be able to exchange information with easiness. You know, when you calm down your brain, for example, in meditation, you calm down your body and suddenly you can think clearly. You can look at the world from a clearer lens of perception, and suddenly you see possibilities where before you've seen closed doors. Right? You see opportunities where before you've seen roadblocks. And it's so important to know, because once we understand that each of us is like a neuron in the brain, we stop looking over our behaviors only when we are out in the public, only when people are looking at us out of fear, like how they are seeing me. We start taking care of ourselves also when no one is watching. We start taking care of ourselves because we know we are part of the collective, and when we are functioning better, collective will be functioning better. There's actually a lot of science behind that. For example, in 1993 there was a study made on the group of 4,000 participants in the Transcendental meditation, where they were looking at the effects of the meditation on the environment of the group, and they've noticed that after the meditation there was a 48% reduction in higher rates of audience crimes in the District of Columbia. After that year there was many similar studies done, and results were similar. And it tells us that when we function well, our environment starts functioning better. People around us may sense more pleasant energy, and therefore they start to feel more pleasant. So it creates a domino effect on our environment. And when more and more people are letting go of the old perception that we are the center of the world, from this egoistic view of, as we're living in the age of narcissism, as everyone is afraid what everybody else think of themselves, and therefore out of fear they want to look as perfect, beautiful humans, so they would be loved and accepted and liked by others. We start to understand that we are already loved by the force of life, because we are alive. Something loves us so much that gave life to us. Doesn't matter what are your beliefs around this. The point is that we recognize that we are life itself, being on a wonderful experience of sensing life, creating life, giving life to life, creating wonderful things, being playful, being creative, seeing what else is possible, expanding ourselves, growing, overcoming unpleasant sensations, like overcoming emotions, learning to use our will, as we say, free will, to use your will for constructing your life the way that is beneficial for you and your environment. And for that you need a certain sense of intelligence and wisdom, and as we know, wisdom can be learned from those who walked before us and our own personal experiences. And that's where we start to look at our own personal experiences as something sacred, something divine, and we start to look at our ancestors with a sense of honor and appreciation, because they've been through something heavy only to bring wisdom to us of what works and what doesn't work. And as many people start awakening to that realization, we start behaving differently. And what's wonderful about our brain, we have mirror neurons that start reflecting the behaviors of others. As people start waking up, more and more people start waking up as a byproduct of that. As we start changing our behaviors for healthier ones, more and more people start changing their behaviors for healthier ones. We are going to see more and more people transforming themselves and their realities to such a degree that they will be and feel completely independent of the system, even though they still live in the same world as everybody else. As healthy organism creates a healthy system that is sustainable and beneficial for all, and it functions as a unity rather than narcissistic individuals living in it, who are constantly destroying it and creating that collective destruction. There is no other way than reshaping our environment so it becomes sustainable and it becomes healthy and it becomes good for all, right? And we can learn the most from nature, because that's how nature is functioning. If you're observing the evolution of artificial intelligence, you will notice that artificial intelligence, and actually all the companies that are building great technology, all that technology is copying nature. You see that it's functioning similar to nature, like internet, for example, exchanging information in the cloud. If you read some studies about forests, you will notice that all trees, all plants, all organism in the forest, in the nature, is exchanging information between itself. It is functioning completely well without us. It actually doesn't need us. But we are still here, and there's a question why. Because we have a higher purpose than just competing with one another, than just beating down one another and destroying our environment. There's a bigger purpose, and once people start awakening to that realization, they start behaving differently, and as we start behaving differently, we start developing new patterns that are more beneficial, and new patterns start designing new environment that becomes healthier for us, sustainable. So rather than copying nature, rather than building stuff that is copying nature, we start living more with nature. And as me and Maya are still on a travel, we are on a road trip. We went from Slovenia to Greece. We are still in Greece right now. We've been in Athens. Right now we are about 200 kilometers out of Athens, enjoying our time here. We've noticed that more we are living in the nature for this trip, as we are traveling with a camper van. We can sleep like almost wherever we want. More we live in the nature, more you start functioning with it. Like you have certain parts of the day where you're creative, and you have certain parts of the day where you're just resting, and you have certain parts of the day where you're playful. And then you look at the animals, they're doing the same. You look at the ants, you see there are parts of the day where they are productive, they're working, and then there are parts of the day when they are sleeping, they're nowhere. And then there are parts of the day when they are gathering food together. And you can observe birds, you can observe like all other species, and you see same patterns. And when you go into the matrix, you see that people are programmed to work in a certain way that is beneficial for the system. Like you should work 8 hours a day. Doesn't matter if you're tired, doesn't matter if you're exhausted, doesn't matter if you're burned out. And that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So go into the nature, study it. As Aristotle said, you will learn the most when you will start studying the nature. And when you start studying the nature, you will learn that it works in cycles. A season comes, there are cycles to it. In each day there are cycles to the nature. And as your mind and your emotional body, your energetic body, your physical body, they are all going through the cycles every single day. You will notice that each moment in a day, you are in a certain cycle, and you need to start reading the benefits of each cycle, of each part of the day. That's what nature will teach you. And as more and more people start learning that, they start behaving more according to the nature and less to the system. And therefore they need to step outside of the system and create their own one, a better one, a one that's in unity with the nature. And it's happening all around the world right now. We will see empowerment of men and women who are detaching from systems labels of who we supposed or should be, because they decided, or we decided, to become what nature meant us to be. Ever evolving beings here to expand, learn, grow, connect, unite, get stronger, support one another, become generous and hospitable to one another, creative beyond limits. You know, as we are traveling, something that truly amazed us is the hospitality and generosity of people of Greece. That was something that truly amazed us. Like wherever we were, people were so generous, so hospitable. And what I mean by that, they're willing to invite you into their houses, give you what they have, give you food, give you everything. They don't look at you as a stranger, as someone who's different than them. Like one day we were sleeping somewhere at a wild beach in our car, and we are used from Slovenia. If you would go to such a place, most probably some local would come to you and would say, hey, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. You should go away. This is my right. This is my territory, or something like that happened to us before. But what happened here, a guy came to us, and first thing he said, oh, you're so welcome here. Hey, where are you coming from? And we were shocked. And then he brought us his homemade wine, and we started talking. He said, oh, I'm an artist, I'm making sketches. And he gave me his drawing without us saying any word to him. That's how generous he was. And when we saw that, we said, well, wouldn't it be amazing that people all over the place would be like that? You would be accepted without trying to be accepted. You would be accepted without any effort. Because that's what nature meant us to be. To accept things as they are. And that was to us a truly wonderful experience. And we're seeing more of that happening all around the world. Communities are coming together. And one of the most important things right now is emotional healing. And emotional intelligence. That is a must right now. So don't feel bad or don't be hard on yourself if you're going through deep sadness. Or maybe even depression. As the universe is leveling you up, you have to release it. And releasing of sadness doesn't happen by saying I love myself. Even though it may help. It happens by feeling your emotions without judging yourself, without being hard on yourself, and just accept this energy as a certain vibration that is not serving you anymore. And as you pay more attention to it and give love to it, it will be released. You will notice that all that part of your body needed was love, was awareness, was attention, as you've been suppressing that part of yourself for such a long time. It needs attention. It needs connection. And as we're doing that, we're slowly putting the pieces of the puzzle together, because every time you go through a certain stage of healing, you start to know more about yourself. You start to understand your past better. You start to know that you haven't been through hard suffering because something wanted to punish you. You only have been through it. So you would learn to navigate yourself through the hard times and use your free will to make the best out of it. And we all know that we can use our will to do something that we're intending to do, or we can use our will to decide not to do something that is not healthy for us anymore. And to strengthen our will means that we start using it more consciously and more intentionally. And as more people are doing that, we are shaping a new world, a new earth with that. And that's the evolution of consciousness that is happening. Awareness is increasing for those who are strengthening their awareness, and willpower is increasing for those who are strengthening their willpower. And as AI, artificial intelligence, is evolving so rapidly, more and more people will start becoming a slave to it, and will lose their ability to think for themselves to the point where it will completely think for them. And that is an important point at this time, because often people are writing us, what do I think about future for artists as artificial intelligence is making art? You can type few words in this generators of art, and they will make a painting for you. But me as an artist, also as an artist, I know that the making of art is never about the final product. It's about the process, because when you're creating an artwork, you learn so much, not just about skills and techniques of how to mix colors. You learn so much about creation, of how something is created, because you have a blank canvas, and then you need to have a vision, you need to have an idea, and then you need to use your willpower to pick the right colors. You need to use your intuition to sense the right colors and to know how to mix them correctly so you will find the right pigments. And it's a holistic approach that should be embodied by everyone in everyday's life. And that is the process that makes art so divine, so special. The whole process, as it makes the artwork at the end so magnificent, so incredible. And as people are using this AI for generating art, it doesn't make that art special. That art is not special, because it can be generated over and over again. It's always about the process. Life knows that it's all about the process, manifestation, transformation, growth, expansion, relationships, personal sufferings. It's all about the process. It was always about the process, because soul becomes the wisest when it goes through more and more experiences. You become wiser because you move through more experiences. And that's what AI takes from you. It takes from you the process. That's why people who will become slaves to the AI will stop thinking for themselves, because they will miss the process that life is offering to us. That's why we truly need to be aware of if we are using it as a tool or if it starts using us, because then we become its tool, right? As I've noticed recently, there are now AI coaching apps, there are AI sex chats, sex robots, there are AI dating apps, and so on. Like, it's crazy what's happening. And it's easy to be drawn into it, because it all feels so attractive, and it all feels like so interesting. Such a great entertainment, but we are not aware what is happening. Because when something takes away your, let's say, need to socialize, like you get an app with which you can have a sexual conversation, suddenly you may feel like you don't need a partner anymore. And at some point you will notice the, let's say, the emptiness of it. And the emptiness brings real loneliness. Loneliness doesn't come from not having people around you. It comes from feeling empty within you. And when you don't know how to fill up that emptiness, you will start searching more of the things that are entertaining you, that are bringing you a sense of pleasure and satisfaction, so you would escape your own emptiness. And that is just the opposite process of a spiritual awakening. A spiritual awakening is all about recognizing your emptiness and start filling it up with your inner light, with your light of understanding, with your light of awareness, and making it more conscious, making your emptiness conscious. An embodiment of that saying of Socrates, who said that I'm the wisest man because I know that I know nothing. And when we act as we know nothing, we start learning from everything. And that's just the opposite approach from this AI evolution that brings us answers to everything, so we don't need to think for ourselves anymore. And that's where I want to remind you to truly focus on yourself, focus on your personal evolution, soul evolution, and connect with people who are going through the same process and exchange information you're gaining from your own experiences, from your own growth, for your own expansion, because that is the most valuable. If we look at the ancient civilizations, what is the most fascinating is the wisdom they've been sharing through generations, right? In the past, we can learn from all those indigenous tribes. We can learn that what they were doing, they were sitting together around the fire and discussing their dreams, discussing their mystical experiences, discussing their sufferings, discussing their pain. And that's what makes society strong. That's what makes society wise. And it brings a strong pillar to all of us that is built on rocks, not on sand. And I just want to remind you that it's okay if you're moving through chaos. Remind yourself that you've done magic before, and get back into that version of yourself that can do magic once again, and connect with those who are going through the same process. We are all awakening right now. We are all moving through something. But know that you are meant to go through it. You're meant to go through all the darkness just to purify the false programming of your past, and to embody the divine patterns of who you came here to be. And they will awaken by itself as you're keeping up. with healing, with transformation, with taking care of yourself, with nurturing yourself the way you need to be nurtured on that soul level. So my friends, I'm sending you much love to all of you, much blessings and power to all of you. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting. To all of you who would like to support my art, go and check out our Etsy shop, I Draw My Passion, where you can find prints of my paintings, some of original paintings and some other things. Go and check it out. Thank you so much, you're so appreciated. Until next time, one love.